You sit at the same table every morning. The coffee is poured. The toast is made. You have done this 1,000 times, and yet something feels different. Not bad exactly, just quiet in a way that wasn't always quiet. That feeling is more common than most people will ever admit, and it is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is a sign that something needs attention. Today we are talking about long partnerships in later life. What happens to them after 30, 40, even 50 years. Why some couples grow closer as the years go on, and why others quietly drift apart without ever having a single dramatic argument. And most importantly, what actually makes the difference. This is not a topic that comes up at the doctor's office. There is no prescription for it. But it may be one of the most important things affecting your health, your daily mood, and your sense that life still has something good in it. Researchers who study long-term relationships have found something that surprises many people. It is not conflict that ends partnerships in later life. It is distance, the slow, almost invisible kind. The kind that grows when two people stop being curious about each other. Think about that for a moment. Curiosity. It sounds like something you feel on a first date, not after 40 years. But the couples who report the deepest satisfaction in their later years share one quiet habit. They still ask. They still wonder. They still find the other person at least a little bit surprising. A long relationship is like a house you have lived in for decades. You know every room. You know where the floorboards creak. You stop looking around. And slowly, without noticing, you stop seeing the person who lives there with you. The first thing that tends to go is conversation, not argument, not coldness, just the slow shrinking of what gets said. Many couples in their 60s and 70s notice that their talk has narrowed down to logistics. Who is picking up what? What is being made for dinner? Whether the appointment is on Tuesday or Wednesday. The practical machinery of a shared life. And that machinery matters. It holds things together. But it is not the same as connection. Psychologists who work with older couples have observed something they call parallel living. Two people sharing a home, a bed, a calendar, but gradually retreating into separate inner worlds. One watches television, the other reads. The evenings pass. Nothing is wrong exactly, but nothing is deeply right either. The quiet danger of parallel living is that it feels comfortable. There is no crisis, no reason to do anything differently. And so nothing changes until one of them gets ill or until something external shakes the routine and suddenly the distance becomes visible. If something in that feels familiar, write a 1 in the comments, not as a confession, just as a quiet acknowledgement that you are still here and that this is landing. Now here is what the research actually shows about couples who navigate this well. It comes down to something called responsive attention. It means noticing the other person, not their needs in a caretaking sense, but them, their mood today. What they said that was interesting, the small signal that says something is on their mind. One study that followed couples over 15 years found that the single strongest predictor of relationship satisfaction in later life was not how much time the couple spent together. It was how often they felt genuinely seen by the other person. That is a different thing entirely. Feeling seen takes about 30 seconds. It is the moment you put down what you are doing and actually look at the person speaking to you. It is saying, not just yes, I hear you, but tell me more. It is the difference between being in the same room and being in the same moment. Imagine the phone rings, and it is your partner calling from the next room, metaphorically speaking. The question is whether you pick up. There is something else that happens in long partnerships that almost nobody talks about. Identity shift. Retirement changes who people understand themselves to be. Children growing up and moving away changes the structure of daily purpose. Illness, even minor illness, reshapes the balance of a relationship. And these shifts happen to both people, often at different times and in different directions. A woman who spent 30 years managing a household and raising children may feel, in her 60s, a powerful pull toward her own projects, her own friends, her own time. A man who built his identity around work may find retirement disorienting in ways he cannot fully name. These shifts are completely natural, but if they happen in silence, if neither person talks about what they are going through, the distance between them grows without either of them choosing it. Here is the surprising insight that most people miss entirely. Conflict, when handled with basic respect, is not the enemy of a good relationship in later life. Silence is. The couples who never argue are not necessarily the happiest. They are sometimes the most distant. Because conflict, done honestly, means that two people still care enough to show up fully. Managed silence means neither of them is quite there anymore. This does not mean you should manufacture arguments. It means that if something matters to you, saying it is an act of care toward yourself and toward the other person. Many older people carry resentments they have never spoken aloud. Small things that accumulated over years. The holiday that was never taken. The support that was not offered at a hard moment. The feeling of not being chosen, repeated quietly over time. These things do not have to stay where they are. But bringing them into the light requires a kind of courage that is easier to find when you understand that the goal is not to win. The goal is to be known. What change do you notice in your own daily life, in your partnership, or in the relationships that matter most to you? If something has been sitting quietly in you while watching this, you are welcome to put it into words below. There is a practice that relationship researchers recommend that is almost embarrassingly simple. It is called the 6-second greeting. When you or your partner comes into the room or returns home, or simply enters the space where the other person is, you give them 6 full seconds of attention. Not a glance, not a nod. 6 seconds of actual recognition. It sounds small, but what it signals to the other person's nervous system is significant. It says, "You are here. I noticed. You matter." Over weeks and months, that signal accumulates into something much larger than 6 seconds. Long partnerships in later life carry something that younger relationships simply cannot have. History, shared memory, the knowledge that this person has seen you at your worst and stayed. That is not nothing. That is extraordinary. And it is easy to take extraordinary things for granted precisely because they have been there so long. Some people watching this are in a partnership right now and feeling that quiet drift. Some are in a partnership that still has real warmth but want to tend to it more carefully. Some are alone, either by choice or by loss, and are thinking of a relationship they once had, or one they might still want. All of those places are valid. All of them deserve attention. The couples who look back with the deepest sense of having loved well are rarely the ones who had the most perfect relationship. They are the ones who kept choosing each other in small ways, who kept asking, who kept showing up in the room rather than just being in the building. You cannot undo the years that passed with less attention than they deserved. But you can begin today with something as simple as a cup of tea made for someone else, carried without being asked, and set down in front of them while you sit nearby. That is where closeness lives, not in grand gestures, in the ordinary moments where you choose presence over absence. On this channel, you will also find videos on loneliness in later life, on navigating difficult family relationships, and on finding meaning in the years that remain. Each one made with the same intention as this one, to see you clearly and to offer something that actually helps.